Today we're going to react to this video that came out a couple of days ago, which is like just an excerpt from a much longer interview that this Lutheran pastor called Christian Einertson, I hope I pronounce it correctly, he's Norwegian, gave to this YouTube channel called On the Line. So it's just 6 minutes long, but this Lutheran pastor is going to make the, what I believe, incredible case that the Lutheran Church is the one true church, is the real Catholic Church in the real understanding of the term Catholic, meaning universal church, is the one true church that ever existed and that continue to exist today. So we're going to go over his claim and try to understand where he's coming from. So let's go.
The Augsburg Confession, especially, if you read through it, it says that our teaching is quite simply the teaching of the Catholic Church.
All right, so he's talking about the Augsburg Confession. So I'm sorry, I'm just interrupting, but just to give some context. So the Augsburg Confession is the confession of the Lutheran Church. In 1530, like all the princes in Germany that had bought into the Lutheran theology got together and submitted this request, this confession of faith, to the Emperor Charles V, and asking him to basically support their churches. Okay, so this is the foundation. It's like the catechism of the Catholic Church. Okay, so this is the statement of faith of the Lutheran Church, right? This is what he's talking about. And he's going to make the case that the Augsburg Confession teaches that the Lutheran Church is the one true church. So let's see what he has to say about that.
The Augsburg Confession does not claim that it is the voice of some sort of a breakoff group. It says, what we're saying is what the Catholic Church says. We are giving the perspective of the entire church here, right? This is the tradition of the one church.
All right. So this is already a big claim. So he's saying that the Augsburg Confession says, so the Lutherans church, the initial Lutheran churches said in the Augsburg Confession that the Lutheran Church is just not a new church, is the church that has always been there. All right. So the Lutheran Church is not, apparently, according to this pastor, is not trying to get out of the Catholic Church, because they themselves are the Catholic Church in the real sense of the word Catholic. All right.
And they say, if there's some sort of a schism that breaks out here, because you have to remember in 1530, when the Augsburg Confession is presented to the emperor, there's not really a schism that's happened yet, right? The way that the preface to the Augsburg Confession describes it is there are these two parties within one church, right? There's this party that's pushing this kind of Roman agenda that's, in league with the Pope of Rome. And then you've got this other party that's, teaching the gospel in the way that the people up in Wittenberg and stuff like that are teaching it.
All right. So he's saying that in the preface of the Augsburg Confession, they're describing this scenario in 1530, okay, that there's this, church, the Roman church, that is following and pushing the Roman agenda. And then there is the one true church, which is basically everything else, who's preaching the true gospel. Now, I don't know where he got this from. I read the preface to the Augsburg Confession. There's absolutely nothing like that. Like the princes are, the German princes are pushing their agenda. They're just basically asking the emperor to support their statement of faith. Because they claim that they want to find some unity in the church. That's about it. That's what they said. They're not saying there are two parties. There's the Pope that pushed the Roman agenda, and no, they're saying this is our faith. Please support us because we want unity, but under our condition, under our faith. Okay, so they're trying to push their agenda in front of the emperor. That's it. There's absolutely nothing like what this pastor talked about. But let's move on.
And it says, if there's a schism, it's going to be because...
No. Like, read the preface. of the Augsburg Confession has nothing to do. They never talked about, oh, if there's a schism, is because of them. This is totally invented.
There are people on the other side who have decided to break away from the Catholic truth
No, there's nothing like that is found in the Augsburg Confession. Prove me wrong.
and have decided to found their own kind of schismatic church. And that's the Lutheran perspective on what happened in the Council of Trent.
I don't think they, if you search for the word schism or schismatic in the Augsburg Confession, I don't think you find anything.
In the 1540s to the 1560s, is there was a schismatic church that was created then that broke off from the Catholic Church, and that's what we now call the Roman Catholic Church.
Oh my goodness, this is unbelievable. You just heard that, right? So he's saying that in the 1540s, there was the Catholic Church, one immediately associated with the Roman Catholic Church. No, but in his mind, the Catholic Church is the Lutheran Church, from which the Roman Catholic Church broke away. Like it's completely reversal of facts, of history. He's trying to say that the Lutheran Church was there, and then all of a sudden, from the Lutheran Church, this Roman church that was pushing the Roman agenda just decided to break away from the Lutheran Church. This is incredible. Like, I don't know of any Lutheran, I've never heard any Lutheran believe this. Like, I don't know, help me out here. I'm not Lutheran, I don't have a Lutheran background, but I never heard any Lutheran apologist make the case that is the Roman Catholic Church that spun off the Lutheran Church. It's just, I mean, it's this to me sounds like total projection, right? When you project on the other your responsibilities. Like the Lutherans obviously protested against the Catholic Church, split from the Catholic Church, and then supposedly they turn around and say, "No, it's you, Catholic Church, that split from us." It's just nonsense.
Right, is the schismatic group. And the Catholic Church with a capital C, right? The church continues on in the Church of the Augsburg Confession.
You heard the terminology continues on. So it means that it was there before. So the Catholic Church was there before. The Catholic Church, in the sense that not the Roman Catholic Church, right? The one true church was there before the Augsburg Confession and continues in the Augsburg Confession. And it's somehow the Pope and all the rest of the Roman Catholic Church that somehow didn't accept the Augsburg Confession, and by not accepting the Augsburg Confession, just became schismatic from the one true church. Lutherans out there, help me out here. Is there anyone out there that dares to support this view? I don't know.
Lutheranism. And so there's no expectation in our confessional writings that you're going to go home to Rome.
I'm not expecting to find that in your confessional. Obviously, if you're a Lutheran, it would be very funny to find it. It's such an expectation. That's exactly why you're a Lutheran, because you're protesting against Rome. What would you find that the ultimate goal would be to go back to Rome, right? Already there, you're contradicting yourself, right?
One day. Rome was never home to begin with.
Rome was never home to begin with. Never home? Never? I don't know. Like, he's even denying that Peter was in Rome? Like, at least Peter? I don't know. Like, I understand the Protestants believe that after a while, maybe early second century, third century, like the church derailed. But the Rome was never home? Never? Really? Never? When Peter and Paul were in Rome, that was not the one true church? This is shocking.
Right? The church is home, and we are the church. And when people, decide that they're going to promote their false doctrines and create their own institutions, then they're going to go off and they're going to do their own thing. But
this is pure projection. Like, that's exactly what Luther did. He went up and did his own thing. He went out from the church and did his own thing. And he's accusing the Catholic Church of what Luther did, of going away from what? Like the Roman. I hate to use the term Roman, but we need to use it here to distinguish between. You see what Lutherans make me do? Like use the Roman, But anyway, just for clarity, the Roman Catholic Church somehow went away from what? What was there before? Like before the Lutheran Reformation, what was there? There was the Roman Catholic Church under the Pope and the West and part of the East, and then the Eastern Orthodox Church. Where was the Lutheran Church before the Reformation?
But we're going to be the church over here. And I think part of why Lutherans have had a hard time, seeing the world in the way in which Augsburg Confession, Article 28, and the preface and the end of the first part and beginning of the second part describe the church, is because a lot of Lutherans are from Germany, one of the main places where Lutherans in America came from, and in Germany, one of the opponents that Lutherans often had to deal with was the ecclesiastical establishment.
Okay, so he's saying that in Germany, remember this part, Luther had to go against the ecclesiastical establishment, aka the church, the Roman Catholic Church at the time in Germany. Yeah, that's what Luther did. He went against his own church. Luther was Roman Catholic, right? Monk. He was an Augustinian monk. Okay. If he went against the established church, like he's already basically contradicting what he just said 2 minutes ago, right? He said that before the Augsburg Confession, there was the one true church was already there. Now he's saying that Luther was going against the church that was there before. So which one is it? Is it continuation, or is it a protest against the establishment? Seems like the second one, the latter, not the former, right?
And what I mean by that is that a lot of the bishops in the Holy Roman Empire in Germany back in the day were legally required to submit to the Pope, right? So,
Okay. I don't know where he wants to go with this. I don't know if he's trying to imply that the German bishops just obeyed the Pope because they were scared of legal consequences because they had signed a contract. And so everybody was Lutheran, but in secret. And they just, on the surface obeyed the Pope because they had signed a legal contract that were scared to break. I don't know if this is what he's implying, but I don't know.
if you heard these arguments that are going on in the Reformation era and you say, yeah, right, I think the Luther's side is teaching the Catholic truth on this one, you have to leave your office. You can't be a bishop anymore. And so,
Yeah, of course, the church said that, of course, if you follow Luther, you cannot be part of the church anymore. I mean, he said that was the church at the time. There was no Lutheran church. It was the Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church.
there's this idea that there are the Lutherans over here and there's the church over there as an institution, and the Lutherans are fighting with the church, right? That's kind of, I think, the way that a lot of people came to see it.
That's what he just said, right? He said the Luther was fighting against the establishment. And then he said, well, now, a lot of people think that there was the Lutherans against the church, the establishment, but this is not true. But you just admitted it 30 seconds ago.
But in the rest of the Lutheran world, this is not usually the way it works. I'm a Norwegian. I wore my sweater for the other episode. I make no bones about that. And in Norway, if you look at the way that the Reformation happened, there's an interesting figure in history. You can look him up. His name is Hans Reif.
Hans Reif. Okay, never heard about this guy. I went to look him up. Never heard, to be honest, about the Norwegian Reformation. Have no idea what happened in Norway. To be honest, not that interested. But since this pastor brought it up, I went and checked what historically happened in Norway to understand the dynamics. It's interesting to see why Norway is Protestant now, a Protestant country. Why is this pastor bringing up Norway? Well, first of all, because from Norway, so okay, obviously he supposedly knows the history of his country, and so now he's going to try to make a point about the Norwegian Reformation and more in general the Scandinavian Church. So let's hear what he has to say.
And Hans Rev was the Bishop of Oslo until the Reformation came, and then you know what he was? The Bishop of Oslo, right? Like the whole church up there just realized, yeah, this is the truth, right? This is the true teaching.
All right. So you heard the argument. So he's picking this one person, Ref, I think it's his name is. He used to be a Catholic bishop there in Oslo. And then after the Reformation, he became the first Protestant, quote unquote, bishop, because they were not even called bishop anymore after the Reformation, um, of the new Reformed Protestant Norway. And his argument is, you see, like the whole body of the church, when the Reformation came to Norway, they just accepted it because they said, yeah, this is the faith that we always believed in. So obviously we're going to become Protestant. We're going to become Lutherans. Now, this is absolutely nonsense. Nonsense from a logical point of view and from a historical point of view. Let's say from a logical point of view. So, from a logical point of view, you don't even have to know history to immediately understand that makes absolutely no sense. Okay, so imagine the whole church in the north, which is Denmark, Norway, Finland, Sweden. The whole Scandinavian church was part of which church? Was part of the Roman Catholic Church under the Pope, right? He admitted himself. This guy, this Rev, used to be a bishop, a Roman Catholic bishop, all right? So before the Reformation, the whole Scandinavian church was part of the Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church, under the authority of the Pope. So imagine this whole church that one day before was under the Pope and in communion with the Pope and believed all the Roman Catholic Church had been teaching for the previous 1500 years, meaning purgatory, indulgences, praying to saints, Mary, Mariology, icon veneration, you name it. And supposedly, when they read the Augsburg Confession that denies purgatory, denies the sacraments, denies sacrificial aspect of the Mass, denies the Pope, denies. At that point, they're like, this is what we always believed. Oh my goodness, this is the one true faith. Yes, let's become all Lutherans because we actually were Lutheran before. This it's ridiculous, right? It's absolutely ridiculous. This is from a logical point of view. You already see that it cannot possibly be true. Cannot be possibly true. So, but since I want to confirm this logical intuition, I went to search and typed in Google Norway Reformation. And this is what I got. Now, I admit it, I didn't do like a very detailed research, the text and the history, and I didn't read books. To be honest, I want to, I have a lot of things in my life. I wouldn't want to spend time about learning too much about the Norwegian Reformation. So I just, looked at Wikipedia, right? That gives like a very high level summary to see if at least something that what this pastor is talking about somehow resembled what at least on the surface would happen. And this is what I found. Right, so here we are on the Wikipedia page that talks about the Reformation in Scandinavia. And this is the paragraph about the Reformation. Oops, sorry. The Reformation in Norway. All right. So I started reading. All right. The Reformation in Norway was accomplished by force by force? I thought that all the church accepted it with glee. In 1537, Christian III, like the head of the state, I don't know, the king probably, the Norwegian king, declared Lutheranism to be the official religion of Norway, sending the Catholic Archbishop Olav Engelbrektsson into exile in Leer. Wait, what? The king declared Lutheranism the official religion of Norway and sent the Catholic, meaning the Roman Catholic Archbishop, into exile? This doesn't sound like Catholic priests and bishops were persecuted, meaning Roman Catholic priests, right? Bishops were persecuted, monastic orders were suppressed, the crown took over church property, while some churches were plundered and abandoned, even destroyed. What? I thought that the whole Scandinavian church got the Augsburg Confession and were so happy to become Lutherans from one day to the next. This doesn't sound like it. Bishops, meaning the Protestant bishops, initially called superintendents, they were not even considered bishops anymore. They were just superintendents appointed by the king. The first superintendent was this guy who served from, all right, in 1541, Stavanger and Oslo got their first superintendents, John Guttormson and Hans Ref. This is the guy that the pastor is talking about. So I click on this guy, Hans Rev. Let's see. So he's going to talk a little bit about his story. Let's see what he says. Well, it's not much. Let's read it. Okay, so he was a Danish Norwegian clergyman. He was the last bishop of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Oslo. So that's right. Before the Reformation, so he was a bishop of the Roman Catholic Church in communion with the Pope, and later became the first Lutheran superintendent of the Diocese of Oslo. So he was the last, basically, bishop of the Roman Catholic Church before the start of the Reformation. When the Reformation started, he basically jumped on the new cart and became the first Lutheran bishop or superintendent in Oslo. All right. About his background, little is known. He studied in Paris. He worked, blah blah blah. He had been appointed bishop of Oslo in 1525 with the support of the archbishop. These all within the Catholic Church. Now, during the invasion of Norway by the former King Christian II, Hans Ref supported Christian, but then changed sides back to Frederick so he was a flip flopper. He remained loyal to Frederick until his death, and after that he supported the late king's Protestant son, Prince Christian, so Christian III. So he was flip flopping back and forth. In August 1536, Ref, along with the other Roman Catholic bishops of Denmark and Norway, was declared deposed. So before the Reformation, he was a Catholic bishop along with all the other Roman Catholic bishops. And in 1536, the new king, like Christian III, basically deposed all the bishops of the Catholic Church. Now, Ref renounced in November 1537 his episcopal dignity in a letter to the king and promised his continued loyalty and allegiance. So basically, this guy was a sellout. Like, he's like, okay, I'm good. I renounce being a bishop and I preach alliance to the new king. All right. In the fall of 1541, not surprisingly, he was appointed bishop or superintendent of the Diocese of Oslo. He thus became the Oslo's first Lutheran bishop. He was also the only former Roman Catholic bishop to lead a diocese within the Church of Norway. So you read it. Nothing to do with what this pastor actually is talking about. He's taking the only Roman Catholic bishop that actually sold himself to the new Protestant king. And from that, he says that the whole Scandinavian church basically accepted Lutheranism and the Augsburg Confession with glee, jumping of joy. This is what we always believed. This is unbelievable.
And so if you're a Scandinavian, it's not like, well, I was Catholic and now I'm Lutheran. It's like, I've been Catholic the whole time.
I mean, God, imagine all these bishops and monks that were persecuted, their church destroyed, kicked out, deposed, saying, "Oh, we've been Lutheran all our time. Yeah, let's have a party."
And we recognized when we heard these things that people were saying down there in Wittenberg and stuff like that. Yeah, that's the Catholic truth. That's what.
I don't know. To be honest, I'm speechless. I'm speechless. I don't know if this is pure delusion. It is. I don't know where he. I don't think he's lying. Okay, to be honest, I don't think he's. I think this is what he thinks actually happened. I don't know where he got this from. Maybe in some Norwegian Lutheran seminar. This is what they brainwash people to believe. I don't know. But there's some real dissonance here between what this guy believes and what reality was.
That's what we say. And so the ecclesial establishment in much of Northern Europe stayed faithful to the Church Catholic insofar as it, accepted the Augsburg Confession and.
The, did I hear correctly that the establishment in the North stayed faith to the Lutheran? Didn't he say before that the Luther was fighting against the establishment? So this establishment is what? Is kind of flip-flopping back and forth? Like first with Luther, then against Luther, then with Luther? Like, was Luther fighting against the establishment? Or the establishment was always Lutheran? Like, I don't get it.
Has been Lutheran, at least nominally to this day. Obviously, there are problems with that now. And so you have this question of there are these two competing parties, right? You have these two groups that are claiming to be the Catholic Church. One of them is the ecclesial establishment kind of to the south, down in Italy and stuff like that, and the other.
I'm sorry, I'm Italian, so I'm gonna take this personal. No, I'm kidding, but he's saying that at that time there were two competing parties, and both they were claiming to be the one true church. There was this ecclesial establishment in the south, Italy and stuff like that. Like this is in his mind is what the Roman Catholic Church was. It was Italy and stuff like that. It's unbelievable. Like Italy and stuff like that. Maybe France, maybe Spain, maybe Portugal, maybe like Italy and stuff like that. This is not serious.
There is the ecclesial establishment up in places like Scandinavia.
I understand. He goes back to Scandinavia because he's from there. Like his hometown is Norway. But to be honest, I never heard that Scandinavia played such a big role in the Reformation. To be honest, but maybe it's just me.
And it's.
I never heard that there was this southern party of Italy and stuff like that, and then the Scandinavian Church, and these were the two parties fighting against each other. Like, I never heard about that.
It's not. It's certainly not a foregone conclusion that Rome is the one who has the better claim to Catholicity. So, I think that when you look at the example of kind of Northern European churches, especially in Scandinavia, it gives you a much clearer perspective on what the Lutheran Church's self-understanding actually is, which is that we are the Catholic Church, period, full stop, right?
Period, full stop. Oh my goodness. Like this is, I don't know, is this fundamentalism? I never heard the Lutheran talk like that. Like I never heard the Lutheran say, we are the one true church, period, full stop. Like I always thought that Protestants, including Lutherans, don't claim to be the one true church, meaning that one single denomination is the one true church. I never heard any. And I don't know if there's like a fundamentalist stream of Lutheranism that this pastor belongs to. I don't know. I'm not that into Lutheranism, but I never heard any Lutheran making this claim. Never, never. Protestant believe that the church is this invisible assembly of all that believe the one true gospel. Then don't ask them what the one true gospel is, because they're going to give you 100 different answers. But the point is that you don't find the church in a denomination. You find the church in all those believers scattered throughout the world in all different denominations, including the Roman Catholic Church that believe the true gospel. So I don't think Luther himself would would subscribe to this. I don't think so. But somebody's Lutheran out there, help me out here.
right? And anyone else who's gone off and done something else, they are the ones who have entered into schism with the Catholic Church and who need at some point to be restored.
Again, never heard Lutherans make this claim.
And so when we realize that, then we don't necessarily fall prey to these apologists from especially Rome and Eastern Orthodoxy who like to say,
Oh, now he's bringing in Eastern Orthodoxy. Like, okay, before the Reformation, can you please tell me where the Lutheran Church was? Where this one true church that then called herself Lutheran? Why did he call herself Lutheran, by the way? Why did he keep calling herself Catholic? If they were the one true church, why didn't he call themselves Catholic Church? Catholic 2.0? Like, I don't know. Like, why did they change name? Why did they change it? If the this is an honest question. If the church before the Reformation, the one true church, the one true Catholic Church was Lutheran, why did they change name? Why is their name now Lutheran and not Catholic, true Catholic, whatever you want to call it?
What if you Lutherans are right about justification and all that, but you're still not in the church? Right? Because that's a real argument. It's what I had to struggle with. I've got Roman Catholics in my own family. I was a Roman Catholic for a little while.
Imagine that.
And you've got to struggle with that question of, okay, maybe the Roman Church promotes false doctrine, but if she's the only church,
which is already impossible. Like, this guy is making an argument. It's not even an argument, right? I don't think that any Catholic apologist goes to a Lutheran and says, okay, let's admit that, okay, let's assume that Rome made a lot of mistakes and taught a lot of false doctrine. But what if they're the one true church? It's an oxymoron, right? You cannot be the one true church and teach heresies. If they taught heresies, obviously they're not the one true church. I don't even know what he's talking about anymore, to be honest.
It doesn't matter. You still have to be a part of her, and then you can.
I don't know of any Catholic apologist that goes to a Protestant and say, you know what? But think about it. Even though the Catholic Church may have made all these mistakes and taught all these heretical doctrines, if they are the one true church, you need to be part of it.
You can try to, deal with doctrine from there, right? This is a very common tactic that you'll hear.
Very common tactic. I've never heard of it. Never.
From Rome in the East. Yeah.
No. I think, again, I don't know. I don't know who he's talking to be honest. Who's making this argument? I never heard anybody making this argument. But one argument could be simply, what if you're wrong and the Catholic Church is the one true church? Period. What if you're wrong? That's the argument. That's a simple argument. Not, even if the Catholic Church taught a lot of... No, it's as simple as that. What if you're wrong? What if the Catholic Church is true?
Maybe you guys are right about some of that doctrinal stuff, but you're outside the church, so you won't be saved. And when we understand what our confessional writings say, we can come back and say, no, actually, we are the church. We are the Catholic.
But you can say whatever you want. Like, this is not even an argument, right? He's saying, oh, this argument, I really thought about this argument. It stick with me because, sure, what if they are the one true church? Oh, but then I realized that the Augsburg Confession says that we are the one true church, so we're good. We're good here. We're the one true church. Like, but claiming to be the one true church doesn't make you the one true church. I mean, I don't know. This is so silly.
Catholic Church. I don't need to go anywhere to be in the church, right? I'm already there. We are the Western Catholic Church. So I think it's important for us to kind of keep that in mind so that we don't fall prey to those tactics.
Full prank. All right. Okay, this was it. Like, Lutheran friends, help me out. Do you agree with this Lutheran pastor? To be honest, I found most of his statements here totally shocking. And honestly, I would say that Lutherans wouldn't even subscribe to what he said. But help me out, comment, and that's all for today. Like, subscribe. God bless.